Welcome to HFY Stories. Please subscribe to the channel. Your one click means the world to me. The ground opened like something exhaling. Threschel watched it from 400 meters up, through a scanner lens that stripped heat and screaming down to cold amber shapes, and even then his hands wouldn't stop shaking. 47 small, glowing shapes were down in that collapsing dark. So was the human. He told this story many times afterward, in mess halls and debriefings, and never once the same way twice. But he always started here, with the sinkhole, because that was the moment he stopped knowing what a human was. 6 hours earlier, it had started with a complaint. Threschel's hunting party had cornered the great alpha of the Carnethian Flats, six-eyed, armored, already responsible for 17 dead warriors that season. Plasma lances charged, pride higher than sense. Into the middle of it walked a woman roughly the height of Threschel's shoulder, dressed like she'd lost an argument with a supply closet. "You've trespassed on a sanctioned hunt," Karach told her, crest flaring violet. "Identify yourself or be removed." "Dakota Reeves. I'm here about the noise. Instruments 3 clicks out, and you people have been roaring since sunrise." Threschel laughed before he could stop himself. He'd remember that laugh the rest of his life, because the ground answered it, a shudder that walked up through his boots. The alpha arrived like a verdict. 20 feet of plated hide, 6 eyes fixed on the newcomer with the flat interest of something deciding how to eat her. Karach shouted formation. Weapons hummed to charge. Dakota didn't reach for anything. She walked toward the beast, empty-handed, close enough that Threschel's throat went dry. "We've met," she told it, conversational. "You're the one who kept me up all night. Do me a favor, chase these gentlemen off." It lunged. She let it come, sidestepped at the last half-second, and vaulted onto its back. It bucked and rolled and threw nothing but sand. Then she produced a small canister and sprayed a shimmering mist into its face. The apex predator of an entire hemisphere sneezed itself into a stumbling, dignity-free retreat. "Capsaicin compound," she said, dropping back down like nothing had happened. "Tuned to its receptors. Ruins its whole afternoon, kind of like you've been ruining mine." Karach demanded to know what she was. She said again that she surveyed rock formations and looked baffled this needed repeating. Threschel pressed harder. She only mentioned, almost as an aside, that she'd pulled a parasite from the alpha's ear the day before. That was why it had been roaring. That was why it trusted her. Karach ordered the retreat. Threschel watched his commander's face on the walk back and saw something in it he had no word for yet. Not shame, not fear, something closer to a foundation cracking. They lifted off to observe from altitude, which was how Threschel came to be watching, hours later, when the desert floor gave way beneath the human's camp. He pieced the rest together afterward. Scanner logs, her own clipped radio traffic, the account she gave once her hands stopped shaking enough to hold a cup. The smaller alpha had carried her into the canyon ahead of something the survey swore should still be dormant. A subterranean elder, 8-legged, bristling with bone that pulsed like a warning light, big enough to make its offspring look ornamental. It had smelled the eggs. 47 of them, laid in careful rows, warm and glowing with a light Threschel would later see behind his eyes at night. "They're not eggs to it," her voice crackled over the recovered channel. "They're a signal, broadcasting to anything with the right receptors for 50 clicks. I need extraction in under 30 minutes. Command told her to hold. She held by throwing seismic charges, meant for testing rock density, at something that could have swallowed them and asked for seconds. One rattled its balance. One dropped enough tunnel to buy her a minute. The third she put into a steam vent, and the eruption blinded it long enough for her to start dragging eggs clear, 2 at a time, the mother alpha working the same frantic arithmetic beside her. She didn't finish in time. 17 eggs were still on the cavern floor when the elder broke through the last wall, and its jaws were already opening when Dakota stepped in front of them. Empty-handed, no armor. A woman built for measuring rock strata, standing between a legend and its meal. "Touch one," she said, and on the recording her voice didn't waver at all, "and every ship in this system lands on you before you finish swallowing." This hunt is closed. I'm the one who closes it. It should have killed her in that second. Threshold had seen enough death to know how fast it usually came. Instead, the creature stopped, some old calculation flickering behind eyes that had never needed to bargain with anything, and held that stillness right up until the recovery ship tore through the cavern roof, lights blazing, engines louder than anything that cave had ever produced. The elder recoiled and went back into the dark, back to a hibernation nobody was foolish enough to interrupt twice. Threshold watched the recovery ship rise past their hull afterward, small and scorched and entirely intact, and didn't understand what he'd seen until it had cleared the atmosphere. "She wasn't hunting it," he said aloud. Karach didn't answer right away. "No," he finally said. "She wasn't hunting anything. We've spent our whole lives sorting the galaxy into what hunts and what gets hunted. She's neither. She decides what happens. Then it happens." The guild filed a formal complaint about disrupted tradition. It went nowhere. The Carnethian flats were reclassified inside a season. No longer a hunting ground, but a breeding reserve, patrolled instead of stalked. The Great Alpha and her clutch placed under protection order, with Dakota Reeves listed as the surveying officer of record. Karach signed the transfer papers himself and never spoke of it to anyone outside his own crew. Threshold thought about all of it for a long time, through the paperwork, through the reassignments, through a dozen retellings that got no easier to tell. Months later, on a supply run past the new preserve, he saw her again, not Dakota, but the Alpha, sunning herself on a warm rock shelf with 3 hatchlings tumbling clumsy and eyeless around her paws. One of them had found something and refused to put it down. A dented aerosol canister, long empty, that the survey team must have left behind in the scramble. The hatchling dragged it everywhere that afternoon, hauling it from rock to rock, guarding it the exact way its mother had once guarded a cave of eggs against something that could have ended them all, as if some instinct in it already understood that the strangest predator it would ever meet had left behind, without meaning to, something worth keeping safe.